All right, we've done in an earlier video an introduction to checkboxes, and in this video we're going to do some advanced uses of checkboxes. It's really a fantastically powerful tool. So here I am in the sandbox course. I'm logged in as the teacher, and right now I'm not in editing mode, and that's okay. I'm going to click on fractions, this learning section called fractions, and let's say it looks like I've got a quiz and I've got a couple of activities. For right now, these are just placeholders. I call them prerequisite 1 and prerequisite 2. And then in here, I've got this optional brain break. And we want to use these things to throw in as incentive for students. But the problem with this optional brain break is I only want students to work on it after they've earned the right to play this game. So these are the two prerequisites that I'm going to require students to do before they've earned the right to play with this brain break. All right? So I'm going to show you how to do that. So first thing we're going to do is we need to go into editing mode for the class, and I'm going to go into this first prerequisite, and right now you can see because it doesn't have any boxes, checkboxes next to it, right now this is not, we're not tracking activity completion at all. So here's my prerequisite. Maybe it's some sort of page that I want students to read. So I'm going to go to activity completion, and I'm going to say show activity as complete when, and I'm going to select when the student has viewed this activity. So I'm going to save and return. And so now I see that prerequisite has the dotted checkbox, meaning they have to do something in order to earn their checkbox, as opposed to a solid square where the student can just manually check that box. I'm going to go to prerequisite 2 and do the same thing. I'm going to turn that on for activity completion. I'm going to say, all right, student show the activity is complete when the student has viewed this activity. And I'm going to do save and whatever, display, or go to whatever button I clicked on. Now I'm going to go to this optional brain break. Now, if I don't, let me go to a student view. And so I'm going to go to, here I am as a student, and I need to refresh the screen just in case. So right now we can see the student, we're in student B, has access to the optional brain break right now. We can see that the prerequisite 1 and prerequisite 2 have checkboxes that they have to earn. They can't just manually check it. Like this solid box here, they could just manually check off as completed this brain break. But that's not what I want. I don't want the students to have access to this brain break until they have satisfied the 2 prerequisites. So I'm going to go into brain break, and I'm going to edit its settings. Now, first thing I'm going to do is, because it's optional, I'm going to turn off activity completion, because that's not going to factor into whether they pass this course or not. But here's the secret for this video: restrict access. I'm going to restrict students' access to this brain break until they've completed those 2 prerequisites. So I'm going to say student must be marked complete for prerequisite 1, and then I'm going to add another restriction, add an activity completion, and say prerequisite 2 must be marked complete. Now if I wanted to, I can attach a restriction that the student has to have a passing score on a particular quiz in order to access this. But right now I'm just making it simple. They just have to mark as complete, have marked as complete these 2 prerequisites. Now I'm going to save and return, and now I can see as the teacher that I've got these 2 prerequisites that the students have to earn, right? They can't just manually check them off. And then I can see that this brain break is restricted until these 2 prerequisites are marked as complete. So if I go over here, now I'm logged back in as a student. I'm going to refresh the screen, and now I can see that the prerequisites are still there, but that brain break, I cannot click on it because I don't have access to it as the student until I've earned it. So I've got to do these 2 prerequisites. So let's click on prerequisite 1. Let's pretend I've read it. I'm going to go back to fractions, and I can see, ooh, yay, I've got a check mark there. And I can see that brain break is still not available because it says I still have 1 more activity to complete. So I'm going to go to my prerequisite 2. I'm going to read it, watch the video, do whatever it is that prerequisite was supposed to be. And now I see that it's checked off, and I can now see as a student, I finally have access to the brain break. Going back to the teacher mode, I'll just refresh the screen. I can see that now if I go into reports, I'm going to click on activity completion. Now I can see that fake student B has really been doing a lot of work. I can see that the student did prerequisite 1 and prerequisite 2. You'll notice the brain break is not showing up because I listed it as nothing that needs not participating in the activity completion process here. But I could have made it something that I wanted to track, but I chose not to. And that is the advanced use of the checkboxes to track student engagement, but also as a way to restrict access to activities until they have satisfied some prerequisites.